so inspiring to have all these people here and to talk to them and to exchange views and visions. It's fantastic.
The coolest thing about Ghent, I think, is how few bicycle lanes there are. That most of what they've been able to accomplish is just by kicking the cars out.
It inspires you because you think, wow, people really do cycle here and people really do enjoy and seeing it as their one mode of transport.
I have never been in a city, biking or walking, where I felt so taken care of and like seen, eye contact seen by people driving.
This is my second time here, and it's always a great reminder that cities aren't loud, cars are loud.
It's the red carpet treatment, isn't it? It's like you're going to the Oscars because you're on a bike, you have priority, and the cars have to wait, and the vans and the trucks have to wait. So it's gorgeous. I loved it.
It's not about numbers of cars or numbers of cyclists. It's about quality of life and a city for people, not for cars. We have an area where there are 7 parts. There's a car-free zone in the center and then 6 parts around it. For pedestrians, for cyclists, for public transport, nothing changed. But for car drivers, something changed. If they wanted to go from one part to another part, they had to go to the ring road. There was no connection between the parts possible with the car. So you get fewer cars.
30 years ago, this was a car-centric city like any city in Europe, and they just kicked out the cars. They looked at the Netherlands and they saw all these beautiful areas with car-low neighborhoods, and they said, okay, we want that too, but we don't have the money to do it like that. So they just put down some concrete blocks to block off the street, and that works. They don't even have to change all these streets because streets are already perfect for cycling if there are fewer cars.
Most of cars, you don't see them really in the city. Some intersections that were only just for cars, now they are just for bikes and for people. And for me, the circulation plan is the real superblock.
Limiting traffic to local residents, deliveries, emergency services, people with disabilities. So, if you're coming back from something and you're driving, the people in front of you are other residents. They're not people just cutting through and using your neighborhood as a shortcut. So when you ride around, there just aren't a lot of cars.
I think what I've been really impressed with is how cheaply and quickly you can improve the safety in a community with just basic things like jersey barriers or large rocks or wooden benches.
I mean, even coming out of the station, I got out on the wrong side. It was like a sea of bikes, and I'm used to the UK where you just see an ocean of cars.
It's very quiet, and you don't really realize that until you leave the city center and you start to pick up where the cars are again.
The most beautiful compliment I got after the implementation of the circulation plan was, "You're the best city composer ever." But he meant that for the first time in many years, in the morning he could hear the birds sing, and he heard other sounds that he never heard because there was always the noise of cars passing by. In the mayor's tour, I lead other leaders from other cities through Ghent, and I show them which solutions we have for our mobility problems. It's so inspiring to exchange with those other leaders and to see that the problems we have, that they have those problems too.
I liked how I saw almost every type of person on a bike this week. Didn't matter age or ability level. I've seen families, folks of all ages and abilities, just using this as their primary means of transportation.
My thing is always when I'm in a city, if I see kids and teens on bikes being social and enjoying and smiling and laughing, that to me is the sign that a city is doing what they need to do to make it a great cycling space. And I've seen that here.
I haven't seen a lot of bicycle infrastructure. I've just seen streets that have been traffic calmed and are so wide that they can accommodate two-way bicycle traffic. That has been one of the best lessons. Like maybe we could potentially skip over the 20, 30-year process of getting the painted bicycle lane, the protected bicycle lane, the wider protected bicycle lane. Maybe the lesson here is just go for it and do big things.
But there is cycling infrastructure. There are bridges, there are underpasses, and the cycle streets that did get transformed are really nice. You can tell this is a cycle street because of the red asphalt, because of the signage. So yeah, it's all very clear, but in a lighter and more relaxed way than the Dutch would do it.
Okay, we're in a fietsstraat in Ghent, and a fietsstraat means that the cars can't pass the bicycles. They have to stay behind the bicycles, and the maximum kilometer per hour they can drive is 30, even without bicycles. 30 is the maximum, and they can't pass the bicycles.
So the bicycle is the user, and the car is in fact a guest behind the user. They had made a special guideline with stones to nudge cars not to overtake the bicycles.
Copenhagen has his serpent. We have our Louisa de Vibre bridge. Among other things, I showed a special bridge for me, the Louisa de Vibre bridge. It's a bit the serpent bridge from Copenhagen in Ghent, a bit like that. Many cyclists that are using that bridge every day, in the morning and the evening.
Yeah, I've seen also a lot of cargo bikes. The amount of cargo bikes in this city, it's amazing, because electric cargo bike, for instance, for me is that's the vehicle, the really the best vehicle for cities, because it really allows you bringing your kids, your stuff, anything.
I really love the fact that there's not a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
And you're not seeing parked cars on the left hand and the right side.
The change is becoming structural. It's not a one moment, it's not 1 year. What we see, for example, is that car possession is decreasing. In 2015 we had 1.2 cars per household. In 2018 it was 1.1, and in 2021 it was 1.0. And I believe that in 2024, the moment we measure it, it will be below 1.0.
One of the 12 school streets in Ghent, in Belgium. The idea of school street we have taken from Italy since 2012, that school streets are in Ghent. So the principle is that nobody can drive in with a motorized vehicle.
If you are focusing on school streets, for example, it's because, for me, the indicator for being a cycling city is how many children are there on a bike. Also, how many elderly people are on a bike. These are the two groups I'm looking of to see if we are on the right track. And so that's why we invest in the environment of schools to make it safe.
I've seen a lot of teenagers or really young kids riding their bikes by themselves without parents. So really, and I think this is giving them a lot of freedom. And this is what our kids and teenagers want in cities.
It's been great in Ghent to see how intentional they are with their designs around schools, either with school streets or widening sidewalks or giving parents space to park their bikes in front of the school. It's just been really nice to see that they're prioritizing social cohesion over car parking.
What I saw yesterday with the visit is that they also protect the schools during the day. Cars can park in front of the schools, so they've got a lot of space for the families to carry the kids in with the cargo bikes.
It's always interesting to see how our different cities make school streets happen, and some are temporary, some are permanent, but I think it's such a great movement that's happening in so many places.
We have a subsidy in Flanders where every infrastructural measure that is taken in school areas gets 50% subvention from the Flemish government. So whenever a local government pays €1, the Flemish government will pay €1 extra.
I think it's how all the infrastructure connects. So, so when you get off at for example, the train station, you can bike if you need to. You can hire a car if you want to. You can get on the bus. Everything connects with everything else, which is what I really like. And the fact that the tram system goes through the main bit of the city, so it doesn't matter which bit of the city you are. You can always get onto a tram to get to the other bit of the city. So it's the connectivity and the kind of planned, processed way of how the infrastructure works.
This is to show at cyclists how many minutes you have to go to other neighborhoods and so on. We have such a network, and so they can follow the network.
While I really believe that infrastructure should be the wayfinding, the way that they've used signage here in Ghent to me feels really effective on helping folks figure out how to navigate whatever mode they're choosing, on how to access parks or car-free streets. And so I think there's a lot of things around wayfinding that can be brought back to a variety of other places.
Here, there's all these subtle little touches, like a few red stripes on a road to tell you this is for pedestrians, because it's experienced by people who are traveling at a walking speed, at even a fast cycling speed of 15 or 16 miles an hour. So it's amazing what you can unlock in terms of just the intimacy and the small little details when you just push the cars to the side and get everything at a human scale.
In earlier times, this was a street full of cars. It was a very popular street for car drivers. And what we will do is to expand the park just to the front of the water. Next time you come to Ghent, there will be no street anymore. 5 years ago, we made a ride together. I left you with the words, if you come back in so many years and we come here, it will be changed. And if you look to that place where we were 5 years ago, then you can see this is totally different. Now we enlarged the park, there are no cars anymore, there are people who are chatting with each other, walking, cyclists and so on, and it became a very pleasant place in the city, near the water, just an ideal place to relax.
The Fietsstraat here is sort of great Belgian sort of adaptation of something that I've seen in the Netherlands a lot. And what I like is that there's this great combination of the red paving, obviously the markings of the Fietsstraat, but then also the lots of green on a lot of them, and I really love that because I think, it's not just about making the space for bikes, it's also about thinking, how do we create shade, how do we make a nice place to spend time.
So all these flowers that you see in Ghent, and we also have them in the Netherlands, by the way, they are actually meant to benefit the population of insects and most notably bees, because we need bees, and bees are suffering because of all the grass. Grass is actually not nature, so they cannot thrive on grass. So they need a variety of plants and flowers, and it also looks good.
There you can see that's a pleasant one, the trampolines for the children. And you can imagine that this is very popular for parents with the children. If you're driving your car through the streets, you have no connection with the people who are in the street. If you are with a bicycle, you have connection with the people around you, with the other cyclists, but also with the pedestrians and so on. That's important. It's about connection.
I think with the Velo-City conference, it's always this great connection moment for people that we're all working in this space in our respective countries. And this conference is always a great way to bring everyone together. And the beauty of having it in Ghent is to see what is being done.
There was fun, there was music, there was laughter, the weather was fine. We did a great ride in places where you never come with the bicycle, on the highway that comes into the city, and it showed that highway could be something totally different than what it is now.
During my week here in Ghent, I found that the quickest way to get from point A to point B was by bike. If I pull up a Maps app and take a look, maybe 10 minutes by car, and then I was able to get here in 5-6 minutes on bike.
We don't convince people with leaflets of getting on a bike. We convince people by making school areas safer, by, for example, those school streets there, where people who don't live too far from the school start thinking after a while, do I still gain time by using that car, dropping the kids off and then rushing to work?
I think when you get the right infrastructure and you change the mode of transport into cycling as the first mode, I think you start to see the difference you can make spatially as well.
While there were dedicated spaces for people driving, biking, and walking, there was sort of a general chillness that, for me, coming from America, was really welcome, that it felt like I could make a mistake and not have someone honk at me.